To get started on this exercise, you should have downloaded the manual layout folder from the Moodle page. Inside of this folder, I'm giving you an Illustrator file for the cover design and also the Speedball logo that we'll add to your manual's layout. In addition to having that cover and logo design, you need to locate the instructions for replacing a screen inside of the Replacing a Screen folder. This was the previous exercise that we did last week. These instructions, when you open them up, will be inside of a text file, and we're going to place them inside of an InDesign file when the time comes. To get started, let's jump into InDesign. The first thing we want to do is to create a new document. So let's go to File and down to New, create a document. The size of this document is going to be measured in inches. It's going to be 4 1/4 inches wide and 5 1/2 inches tall. This is a 1/4 of a 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. The orientation will keep it portrait. Do check on facing pages. Keep it at 1 page for now, but we'll uncheck our primary text frame. The next thing we want to do is to open up our margins. Let's do some custom margins. For my top margin, I'm going to unlink all of these, set my top to be 1 inch, and then my bottom, inside, and outside to all be 1/4 inch, so 0.25 on all the other sides. The only one different will be my top margin. Also, let's open up our bleed and slug, and let's set a bleed of 1/8 inch on all sides, and let's set our slug to be 0. We'll hit Create, and this should be the document that we have set up. The first thing we want to do is to place the cover onto our design. So let's go up to File, down to Place, and locate that cover that should be inside of our manual layout folder. There it is. When we import it, we'll say Open, and then we'll click and drag to add it to the front page of our document. Remember, whenever you place an EPS file, if it comes in too fuzzy, you can always go up to View, down to your Display Performance, and make sure you have High Quality Display selected. Also at this time, I'll mention that if you want to create your own cover design, you're welcome to do that. Otherwise, you may use the cover that I give to you. The only thing that we need to add to our cover is down at the very bottom what this manual will be. So let's grab our Type tool, click and drag around, and then we're going to type Replacing a Screen. As far as the font and size and placement, I'll leave that up to you. In my case, let's choose something that'll stand out and be a little bit different. Going into preview mode, you can see how this will look, and we'll pull it down. Now that we need to add some more pages to our document. Remember, since this is a booklet, we want to add pages 4 at a time. Since I've already got 1 page selected, let's go up to Layout, down to Pages, and choose Insert Pages. In our case, we're going to add 3 more pages after page 1. We'll say OK to that. Notice in our Pages panel, we've now got 4 pages total. Let's go to the very back page, and on this back page, let's add that logo. Go into File and Place, locate the Speedball logo, and click and drag to add it to the back anywhere that you want to. It can be any size, any placement, as long as something is on this page. You can also add any other kind of decoration that you wish to for your design. What we want to focus on are these inside pages. Notice that because we have facing pages selected, all of our inside pages should be side by side. The first and last page should always be by themselves. Whenever you add pages 4 at a time, this will continue to follow that particular trend. For the inside pages, the first thing we're going to do is rough out our layout. I'm not really concerned too much about the exact placement, the exact position of everything. What I really want to do is to put all of our information down so that it fits well within our design. Looking at our layout, I've given you an area up at the very top to place your step number and also any title, and the area down below is where we'll place all of our images and our step-by-step instructions. Just know that we don't want to have any kind of awkward placement where we're having to jump from one page to another, and we don't want to have any blank pages on our document. we want to have some sort of set multiple number of 4, total number of pages, so 4, 8, 12, 16, and all of our content needs to flow nicely within this design. So let's see if we can set up and give some things to think about for this particular layout. The first thing I'm going to do is to go to my text file that we opened up and to copy and paste everything over. In looking at this text file, notice that I've given you kind of an introductory paragraph, and then each of the steps, there's 4 different steps, has a variety of different sentences that go along with it. For now, let's go with replacing the screen. So I'm going to copy that, jump into InDesign, we'll click and drag, paste that. Since this is going to be my title, I'm going to very quickly and easily choose kind of a bold, let's do something like that. We'll go back into our text file and we'll copy over some of the paragraph text. Click and drag, paste that in there. You can also choose a particular font to use with that. I happen to like Avenir, so we'll go with that. And the final thing we need to do is to give an indication of where each of our steps are in the process. What I want you to do is to have some sort of large number up at the top or on your page somewhere indicating what step in the process it's going to be. So for this large number, there's a variety of things we can do. In my example, I'm going to show you some things we can do. So let's take a large circle, we'll set it out, we'll fill it in with maybe a tint of black, and then maybe put the text number inside of that one. We'll make it nice and large. And we'll set that color to be paper white. However you wish to design it, you may even add color to your design if you want. Turning on preview, this will give you an idea of what this looks like. But the main thing that I'm looking for is that the step in the process is very large and easy to read. Now I do know that this is not the first step, this is actually our introductory paragraph, but like I said, for now we're just roughing in the particular area. The last thing we're going to do is to add the images to our design. Let's go ahead, I'm going to add 4 more pages after page 3 and see what step 1 would look like. So going into layout, down to pages, let's insert 4 more pages, in my case after page 3, and we'll say OK. Now you can see I've added 4 more to our document. If we want, we can highlight this, copy it over, paste it into our design. So this would be step number 1. Let's go back to our instructions and actually paste over each step. So step 1 of removing the fabric. Going back to our instructions, copy over the instructions, paste them into there, and then this would be step 1 for this one. Some other things we can do if we want to add decoration is perhaps add a line to here. And then make sure it's large enough to read. Go to File, and we'll set it off that. Again, take this one step at a time, and we need to determine how many pages it will take to lay out each step of the process. The next thing I want to do is for every step that we have, I want to be able to indicate where it begins. If we look at this particular step in the process, if I was reading this text, it looks like it's one paragraph, and it could easily be misconstrued as one particular step to do, to remove the fabric and turn over the frame. Well, that's one step, and then using a screwdriver or pliers to remove the cord out of the groove is actually a second step within here. So I want to add some bullet points where each of these steps begin, and I want to be able to customize those bullet points. So to do this, highlight your text. To turn on bullet points, find the little paragraph at the top, clicking on it, and then locate this icon will automatically turn on your bullet points. Let's go back to that particular one. There we go. Now when you turn them on, these are going to have the default bullet points already set. If we want to be able to customize the way these look, open up your paragraph panel. If you don't see paragraph, you can go to Window, down to Type in Tables, and select Paragraph. From the Paragraph panel, with your paragraph selected, click on the Options and go down to the bottom and open up Bullets and Numbering. With the Bullets and Numbering options, you can turn on Preview and you can see some pre-built and defined character bullets. Choosing these will allow you to quickly and easily change up the style that you have for your bullet points. What we want to do is to add our own custom one. So going to Add, this will open up whatever font family, and let's choose a dingbat font that we can work from. I've listed several from the instructions. I like to use Zapf dingbats. With these, you can see there's a variety of little symbols that you can pick and choose from. Almost any one of these could easily be a good bullet point to work with. So for mine, I kind of like this flower one. If I select it and choose Add, then say OK, you can see it's been added to my bullet characters and it's automatically placed right here. The other thing I can do is to play around with the left and right indent. If I need to move my text over or to move my bullet point to a specific location, I can do that from down here. Once we're done, we can say OK. And in this case, I've got two different steps under step 1. So I'm going to take this one and pull it off to the side and put it in its own box on this side. So grab my type tool, click and drag and paste, and click and pull down and place that inside of there. Now let's start to add our images to our design. If we go up to File and down to Place, I need to locate each of the pictures that we created. Mine are saved on the desktop, and we've got a unique problem. If I was to choose my tools, remember inside of this document we've got each of the little different tools on their own artboard, and in my case I also drew off each of the steps of the process. But if I say to open it, it will only open up that first artboard. I want to be able to access all of the other artboards. Here's how to do that in InDesign. Go up to File and down to Place and locate your illustrations that you created from there. When you check on Show Import Options and do Open, this will give you the ability to choose exactly which artboard you want to place inside of there. In my case, I don't just want to have the first artboard or just one tool. I want to have the first 6 artboards. So I'm going to choose the range 1 through 6. -6, there we go. And this will give me those first 6 artboards. When we say OK, notice now it will follow my cursor. My cursor's got a little plus sign. I can click and drag and add all 6 of my artboards to my design inside of their own frames. Later on, going back and placing them exactly the size and placement that I want them to be. Let's do the same thing for step number 1. We'll go up to File, down to Place, choose my tools, make sure Show Import Options is selected, and when I say Open, I can scroll through and find the exact one that I want. In my case, I want page 7. We'll say OK. Now it didn't load up, and that's because I had a previous text frame selected. So I'm going to hit Undo. That'll bring it back to my cursor. Now I can click and drag and place it right there. Let's do the same for the second part. Command D to drop it in. Make sure Import Options is selected. Let's go to page number 8. And this will allow me to click and drag and import just that particular image. Now, again, go through each of your pages and lightly rough out exactly where you want to place all of the steps in your process. Make sure that you have a multiple of 4 as the total number of pages that you're working in. 4, 8, 12, or 16. There is no set number that I'm looking for. As long as your document shows all of the steps in the process, that's okay. The other thing I'm looking for is to make sure your number is nice and large so that we know exactly what step you're working on, that it has the title and each of the steps in the process throughout the entire layout. The front cover, which again you can design your own or use this one, needs to be on the first page, and the very last page needs to just have the Speedball logo. You may add color to this if you wish, and you can add any kind of borders or decoration that you see fit for your design.